Hello ladies and gents, Teo here, Ever17 here, you know the drill. So, last time we learned that there might be time travel nonsense in this story, which is exciting, and is definitely something that I'm going to keep in mind going forward when trying to solve mysteries, because time travel has a way of making the mysteries more complicated. I trudged along looking down. The light reflected cold and hard off the walls and floors. Tsugumi's words echoed in my mind. Tsugumi said not to trust Takeshi, you, and the others. That my lost memory was their fault as well. In fairness, she said it might be their fault. But their behavior was suspect. But I wondered if that really could be true. I didn't see how it could be. They all seemed trustworthy to me. The type of people you could really depend on. I had only spent a few days with them, but I was sure. Besides, even if she were right, there were lots of things that were inexplicable. If Takeshi and the others were scheming something, if they were trying to deceive Tsugumi and me, then it should be visible in their words and actions. There was no way that normal people could put on an act as elaborate as this. If one or two were trying to lie, it might be possible, but even with my memory impaired, I would still be able to tell if they were all trying to do it. I mean, not if they're good at it. It seemed that you, Sarah, and everyone were reacting naturally, as one might expect in each situation. So it didn't seem possible. It wasn't possible. The most impossible thing to explain was why cause this accident? Why lie to Tsugumi and me? There was no reason, and it would have been impossible anyway. I wondered if I were going to die. It was stupid. If that was the case, we would have to be smart to help each other more than ever. The problem is probably with Tsugumi. That was what I thought. Maybe she had some grudge against Takeshi and the others from before, or maybe she was imagining everything and just paranoid. Or maybe she was trying to make me paranoid about the others and draw us into conflict, or something else. No, I had to stop this. It was too crazy. If nothing else, this was all just my imagination working overtime and nothing but paranoia. It had to be that the difficulty of the situation was putting incredible mental strain on everyone. I wanted to trust everyone, and to be trusted. So I would continue to treat everyone as I had up until then. That is what I decided. Rather than worrying about who to trust, we needed to worry about how something like this could have happened. If we knew the cause, we might be able to figure out a way out. I remembered that Tsugumi had said something else. You're trying to do the exact same thing that you did before. I wondered about my ability to foresee events. Was I repeating the past? I wondered if I really did travel in time. Finally, I arrived back at the infirmary, but there was no longer anyone there. Huh? Where'd everyone go? Maybe they're in the conference room? Hey, Sora? I called out to her through the microphones in the room, but there was no reply. Sora had said that the complex's sensors were not yet functioning everywhere. I figured that I'd just have to go searching myself. I sighed and headed out into the corridor. Oh, that's right. I had an idea. The security office was nearby. I could use the observation monitors there. I might be able to see what was going on, and maybe find out where everyone was. So I made for the security office. When I entered the office, I saw you. She was slouching loosely in a chair. You, what are you doing here? Hey kid, how you doing? You swiveled her neck around and greeted me. She couldn't be bothered to shift her body. Where's everyone else? What happened to Sarah? She's resting in the decompression chamber below the infirmary. You straightened up. She added that Sarah said she wanted to be alone, so I best not bother her. I see. Sora had work to do in the control room. She's checking and adjusting the complex. What about Takeshi? I don't know what's up with Takeshi. When he left, he was saying something about wanting a drink. He might be having a beer or something. Huh? A beer in Limu? You shrugged as if to say, who knows. What about you? How'd things go with, Tsugumi? Not good. She wouldn't listen. She just took off somewhere. I decided not to say anything about Tsugumi's silly suspicions. Well, I guess that's how things stand then. So what are you doing here, you? You can't access the database for a while, right? Right, so I'm taking a break. Right now I'm looking at Limu through the monitors and trying to think of a way to escape. I haven't thought of anything yet. You went back to typing on the keyboard. Tap, tap, tap. The images of the monitors changed again and again. Takeshi appeared in one of them. Hey, that's Takeshi. Looks like it. Is that the rest area? Looks like it. I wonder what he's doing. Who knows? Takeshi was sitting on a bench. He had a can of beer in his hand. As you had said, it looked like he was having a drink. So there really is beer here. Thinking about it, I realized that Takeshi knew the kiosk's freezers by heart now. Maybe it was something that an employee or someone had sneaked in. What I didn't understand was why there was one more beer. Or I should say that the can was opened and sitting next to Takeshi. He'll get flat if he leaves it like that. Oh, are we about to get evidence of an invisible person? Of course, there was no one there. Takeshi lifted his can in the direction of the can next to him and muttered something, but we couldn't hear the what. I wondered if he was drunk. He looked dangerous. Jeez, what is that fool up to? Tap, tap, tap. You punched some keys and switched to a less unsightly scene. Okay, time to take a break. You jumped out of her chair and headed for the coffee machine. I want one too. Alright. Where's the sugar and milk? What, you take sugar and milk? Like a kid with a sweet tooth. I can drink however I want, can't I? Sure, whatever. I think they're in that drawer. I took the sugar pot and milk bottle out from the drawer. Coffee is coffee because it's bitter. You said this as she poured coffee into our cups. Coffee defiled with other stuff, it's like a hamburger made out of chicken. It actually sounds pretty good. Like, it's called a chicken burger, right? Someday you'll understand, kid. Here's your Whittle Milk Wink, baby. Oh, shut up. It's rude. She doesn't have to get in our case for, like, enjoying the, sweeter things in life. I dribbled a little milk into the cup that she gave me. I went to add sugar, but there was no spoon, so I decided to pour from the sugar pot. This is gonna end terribly. You know that black coffee is bad for your stomach, right? I know that, and 100 other things that are bad. Smoking's bad for you, and they're still smokers. Besides, when you're tired, sweet things give you a surge of energy. I was in an argumentative tone. But then my hand slipped, and sugar went cascading into my cup. Called it. Don't say I didn't warn you. I mean, you're fictional characters, and the story was written like a decade ago, so I can't plausibly warn you, but, you know, I'm still gonna feel smug about it. Oh no. There you go. That should give you a surge of energy until tomorrow. Hey, I was thinking. Thinking what? I didn't tell you? So boring. You said that and sipped her coffee indifferently. What I said is that I can sense the future. I decided to tell you about my theory. I really wanted to hear what she thought. I mean, yesterday in the generator room, the trouble this morning with Takeshi, and when I first met Sarah. That's just deja vu. Deja vu? When you've never done something, but you can't shake the feeling that you've seen or done it before. But, you know, it's really just when you have some memory deep in your mind that makes something feel familiar. It's just a kind of hallucination. It's not. It just wasn't like that. I think I've experienced the same kind of thing in the past. And? What's your point? I think that maybe I traveled through time. I don't know if that's necessarily the best line to lead with against our supreme rationalist. And that I came here to the past from the future. I mean, from a narrative standpoint, that would explain the amnesia, right? Like, you have a time traveler with amnesia that sort of defeats the purpose, which is kind of the point. I think it helps to explain my lost memory somehow. And? How to explain your memory? That's hard to explain, but what is going on in that head of yours? What got all twisted up in there to make you come up with some crazy idea about traveling through time? Or are you one of those people that believe the sun circles the earth? But, right now, this... Okay. You held her palm at me like a traffic cop. Okay, let's say for argument's sake that you did travel through time. So what? What connection could that possibly have with your missing memory? You make absolutely no sense. Listen, there's no such thing as time travel. Theoretically and scientifically, it's impossible. I decided to drink my coffee. Ugh! It was so sweet it almost made me want to vomit. Brought this one yourself, dude. Water flows downhill and time flows forward. It's simple. Like a river. There's no going backward. But, I groaned. But I wasn't giving in without a fight. Are you sure? Water doesn't always flow down, does it? Ha, now what? You can explain it all with some anti-gravity substance? Or something like space isn't a vacuum, but is full of ether? That's not what I meant. It's not like that. What I mean is... I looked around the room. There had to be something to convince you, like... My eyes stopped on the coffee machine. The water in the lower container was boiling, warmed by the flame of the alcohol lamp. The water was pushed by the pressure of the steam through a pipe in the center and percolated into the pot. This is it! Look, water doesn't always flow down, see? You didn't say anything. She simply looked at the gurgling water. Hey, you listening? That's it! You suddenly stood up shouting. Ow, ow! You bumped my arm and spilled my coffee everywhere. You got on my arm and her coat. But you ignored it, handing her cup to me and went bursting out of the room. She shot out of there like a rocket. I quickly put the cups down and went after her. You was heading to the west. She climbed the emergency corridor. Wait, what is she gonna do? Is she gonna, like, boil the ocean so that the water rises? Like, what big discovery has she happened upon? Or, like, what big realization has she made? I'm a little bit confused. When I finally caught up with her, I found myself in the central control room. You and I dashed into the room. There was Sora. She was in front of the console with both hands together. She was quiet, her eyes closed. It was like she was meditating. The LED of computers in the room were responding and flickering. But when Sora noticed our presence, she opened her eyes and smiled. What is it, you two? I thought of a way to escape. You shouted in between breaths. A way to escape? Really? You did? Well... You alright?
I'm fine. I'll be fine after I rest.
Deep. You put her hand on her chest as she breathed deeply, trying to catch her breath. Then... Hey, Sora, why can't we escape from here? Stupid, it's because Limu is flooded with water. Enough, I'm not asking you. Quiet. Shut down. Sora, answer me. It is as Kit said, it's because Limu is inundated with seawater. The water has blocked passage to Incel Null via the elevator and emergency stairs. Thus, all avenues of escape have been closed off. Okay then, do you mean that if we could get rid of all that water, we could escape? Yes, however, with the limited wastewater pump still functioning, it is impossible. No problem. You stopped Sarah at that point. The floating island has to have a high-pressure intake fan, right? A high-pressure fan? A device to send in a mixture of high-pressure gas to increase air pressure in the complex. Yes, it's exactly as you say. In that case, why don't we use a high-pressure fan to pump in high-pressure gases which will push out the water? Oh, that sounds sort of plausible. If you blow air into a straw that's in the water comes out of the straw, right? Oh, I get it. Theoretically, it's possible. I told you, let's do it! And it's one of the methods that I considered initially. Uh-oh. Huh? In other words, unfortunately, it's impossible. Why? Because we can't activate the fan from here. It is the same as with the reason the elevator's out of order. The cause is unclear. It's very unfortunate. Yu's shoulders slumped dejectedly. Yu... I put my hand on Yu's back. She turned and smiled an empty smile. Damn, thought it was a good idea, too. I guess I'll have to rethink it. But her words sounded angry. Her words sounded empty of the spark she'd shown earlier. Huh? Only then did you finally notice the coffee stains. Oh, yuck. This is gonna stain for sure. There's a laundry room right next to the changing room. Why don't you wash it there? Fortunately, you have a change of clothes as well. That's true. You took the area of her coat that was stained black and held it to her nose. Yuck, this stinks like sugar. I mean, it smells like coffee. Was what I wanted to say, but I just barely held my tongue. It was a new day. You said she was going to change clothes and had gone up to the second floor. Sora went to work. Sarah, she was probably sleeping in the compression chamber. Takeshi was supposedly filthy drunk in the park rest area. Tsugumi hadn't come back. I had no idea where she'd gone. Me, I was in the conference room. In the middle of the table was a three-dimensional image of Limu. I was staring at it and trying to come up with escape plans. At that point, I hadn't even hit upon a single one. Any plan would fall apart before I got it fully developed because of my limited knowledge. But I didn't intend to give up. I thought if I could just find a starting point. I wanted to get back at you somehow. The door opened and somebody came in. Looking back, I saw it was you. She had changed into her work uniform. Your uniform? Oh, so this is where you are. I was looking for you. The ribbon on her outfit shook rhythmically as she walked towards me. Are your clothes dry? Nope, dryer's broken. These clothes will do for a while anyway. Hey, what are you doing with that Limu hologram? Just looking. You're not trying to think of a way out, are you? Well, all I got is time on my hands. I lied to her. Embarrassed, I couldn't tell her the truth. Enough about that. Aren't you going to sleep? I drank too much coffee, so I can't sleep. Besides, there are lots of things I want to think about. How about that? Same here. What, the coffee or the thinking? Both. Wow, that's weird. You laughed dryly as she said that. Hey, how about keeping me company? You going somewhere? Yeah, well, in order to think, you've gotta be in the right place to put you in the mood. Someplace in mind? Yeah, a place connected with the third eye. What? I'm confused. The third eye? When the third eye opens, true wisdom is apparent and all becomes visible. The power of ancients, ultimate knowledge, proof of a transcendent state beyond that of normal people. The place that you led me was... Shall we go in? You walk toward the stone gate, which rose out of a dimly lit dome. Can I ask you a question before we go in? Huh? Sure. What do the Lemurian ruins have something to do with the third eye? Oh, that... I lied. What? Tell you the truth, they're not related. Oh, what a troll. There's no meaning to that, or connection at all. I just thought if I said that, then you'd come along with me. Thinking about things all by myself doesn't really suit me. I need someone else around. Are you mad? No, not really. I was just thinking that you don't seem the type to be governed by random illogical thoughts. Really? Yeah. But actually, there might be a connection. You turned her gaze to the ruins. I told you about how my mom was doing her own research while pretending to study the Lemurian continent, right? It seemed like she was completely hooked on researching the third eye. Do you know why? Because she was conducting research in the name of Lemuria? Yeah. So my mom wanted to study the third eye, pretending there was a connection with Lemuria, and wrote about it. One theory has it that the people of Lemuria were giant apes that were 12 feet tall. They had walnut-colored skin, there were no differences between male and females, they laid eggs and communicated via telepathy. And they had a third eye in the back of their heads. That's quite something. Telepathy and the third eye, this has something to do with the third perspective. Drawing on the idea that our vertebrate predecessors had 3 eyes. So the ancients, especially the Lemurians, may well have been races that mastered the use of this power. And based on the facts discovered, I conclude that the origin of the third eye is Lemuria. That, feels a little bit like a stretch. She even wrote trumped-up papers on the topic, even though they're totally unrelated. I wish you'd tell me more about the third eye. What is there to tell? Sorry, I'll tell you some other time. I don't really feel like going into it now. You and I crossed through the gate and entered the ruins. It was darker inside, and the pathways were interwoven like a maze. The lighting was surreal, with dim lights in some areas and bluish-white lights elsewhere. Occasionally, a hologram of some deep-water fish would shine into view. The ruins were also slightly flooded with water, which had the effect of making them appear more like ruins at the bottom of the ocean. I wondered how far we had walked. Finally, we came to an open space kind of like an auditorium. The room had a high ceiling. There were rock pillars, called obelisks, scattered around the area. A few of them were broken, collapsed, or crumbling. Looking closely, I saw that a mock relief was carved into the wall. As I absent-mindedly stared at the wall, you walked over to one of the collapsed obelisks and sat down, hugging her knees. It's a strange place, huh? It's called the Sun Temple. Sun? That reminded me that I had seen an image of a sun disk on the relief on the wall. There are a number of theories about the precise location of the Lemurian continent, but no one really knows where it was. But most people agree that it was located near the belt of tropical rainforest just below the equator. You reverted to speaking like an employee, which she was, and started giving me an explanation of the place. Members of our research staff here at Limu have put forth hypotheses that the people of Lemuria worship the sun. You paused and shrugged. So I guess that's why we built this temple. I see. As I sit down next to you, I nodded. A sun temple, at the bottom of the ocean. Doesn't that strike you as kind of ironic? I wondered if she was talking about the continent that had sunk to the bottom of the ocean. Or maybe she had meant us. Did you think of anything? What do you mean? Ways to get out. Oh, I shook my head. I thought so. I can't think of any other ways. We could just get that high-pressure inflow machine to work. You know, I've thought this through. I think we're being lied to by someone. Huh? What are you talking about? You are just being used by them. Tsugumi's words flashed through my mind. I mean, I don't think what happened this time was just an accident. I think that somebody trapped us here on purpose. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense. There's too much that doesn't add up. Mayo's friends, Takeshi's friends, and my coworkers should all know we're trapped here, right? So why doesn't anyone come? Even if there is some reason they can't get inside, divers should at least be knocking on the windows. Besides, we still have power, only the communication system to the outside is down. We still don't have any idea what caused the alarm before the accident and the blackout. And we don't know why the high-pressure input fan stopped working either. It's almost like everything was set up to trap us here. I didn't know what to say to her. Man, in the face of all this evidence, it starts looking a little bit damning for Sora, right? Because she has the most capacity to trap everyone down here. Of, like, the characters we've seen, given how intimately she's connected with the various systems of Limu. I still don't have, I think, enough evidence to throw under the bus, but at this moment in time, she's probably the most suspicious. It's A, because of how unsuspicious she seems, and B, how plausible it is for her to have set this whole situation up. I didn't know what to say to her. It all made sense to me. Actually, I'd been feeling the same thing. The reason that I hadn't been able to, or didn't realize it, was maybe I didn't want to face up to reality. I sneaked a look at Yu's face. She clutched her knees and turned her helpless-looking gaze to the water's surface. Her lips were a bluish color, and it wasn't all the fault of the light. Yu was always more upbeat than everyone around her. She was a powerful presence for me, but right then, she seemed very small and fragile. No matter how tough she acted, Yu was still just a girl at heart. It had been a quick 3 days since the accident. It only made sense that she would be feeling the strain. Swallowed into the dark, deep ocean, we had lost the warm spring sun. I couldn't let her go on like this. I had to cheer her up somehow. That was how I felt deep in my heart. Friends help each other, right? Kid, you can see the future, right? Tell me how things are going to turn out. I think we'll be saved. Is that a premonition, or just an optimistic guess? Of course, I wanted to say premonition, but I couldn't. Saying that wouldn't work. You could see through a lie. I thought about it. The third perspective. The third eye. True wisdom. Omnipotent, all-seeing vision. Power to make light shine once again. I thought that if only I had that. But it didn't exist. It couldn't possibly... It's not a premonition, or a guess. At the very least, it's a promise. Promise? Yeah, I promise. At least, I hoped it was. That it was a promise that would materialize. That we'd be able to get you out of here. I held up my hand as if taking an oath. I approached you, but then she spoke. And what if you break it? Well, then you're all dead, so, like, it's sort of the least of his issues. I won't. I'll see to it that you're safe. For sure? There's not even a 1% chance you're wrong? About that. There's not even an 0.0000001% possibility. I pointed my finger at my heart and promised you. Talk about promising more than you can deliver. I crossed my heart and hoped to die. Oh well, I suppose I'll have to trust you. I stick a needle in my eye. I won't break my word to you. The next day after breakfast, you and I went to the security office. She tried to access the computer network again. I planned to stay and see her through it, but... Tap, tap, tap. Tap. Beep. Access denied. Invalid username or password. It seemed like she still couldn't get past the security. Oh no, looks like it's no good. Yu's shoulders slumped dejectedly. Isn't there anything else you can do? I could enter by cracking the system open or get Lemma to remove the protection mechanism. Why don't you ask Sarah? Yu stopped talking and looked down. Don't you want to find out what happened to your father? That... You have the right to know. There could be information being kept from you. Also, like, if we're suspicious about, Sora and the information she's providing, like, cracking to the system could also potentially have very real implications in being able to get out of here. So there are practical reasons to try and break into these systems. Like, even just having more information is going to be useful in getting out, right? Like, even if Sora isn't lying to us, there's still, I think, a lot of value in just having more information about the situation we're in. Or, like, even the events leading up to the situation, or events that took place here prior. Like, any number of things could be in this database that would be immensely useful for getting us out of here, right? And the fact that she doesn't want to wrap Sarah up in something illegal feels rather short-sighted to me. Like, at some point you should be willing to make moral sacrifices to avoid dying. And this is a fairly small sacrifice to make. So are you going to try to get at the truth, or are you just going to let those doubts nag you forever? So, you, what do you want to do? In the end, it's up to you, so you should do what you want to do. You stared at her fingers, then she looked at the display. Finally, her eyes drifted to the ceiling. You gave a nod after a while. It might be a lot to ask, but I'll ask Mayo for her help. Good. She wasn't wrong. She didn't need to feel intimidated. Alright, I'll go ask her for you. With With those energetic words, I bounded out of the security room. As I was sprinting down the corridor... Wait a second, where is Sarah, anyway? Finally, I realized something. I should have checked on the monitor in the security office. But I thought I'd look stupid going all the way back again. I thought I might ask Sora. But then I saw Sarah sitting across the far corridor. How convenient. I immediately went after her. Sarah went into the infirmary. I went in after her. Sarah! Ah, jeez! Scared me! Sarah jumped, startled. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to surprise you. I'm exhausted, so cut me some slack. My mind and body are shot. Sarah's haggard expression told the same story. I remembered the fight the day before with Tsugumi. She had probably had a sleepless night. Were you thinking of going to sleep now? Yep. Uh-oh. Huh? Is something wrong? Actually, I explained the details to Sarah. About Yu's father gone missing. About her working at Limu to find clues about his fate. That her search was being blocked by some protective mechanism in Lemma. Wow, I had no idea about any of that. Yeah, well, you and I can't figure it out alone. So, what is it you want me to do? We were hoping you could try taking out Lemma's security so we could get into the network. Tracking the security, huh? I feel bad asking when you're so tired, but could you do it for her? Sure. If you wouldn't mind, she'd really... I said sure already. Really? Yep. I mean, it's to help knock you, right? Can't very well say no. Thanks! I grabbed Sarah's hand and shouted happily. I was so happy I could have jumped for joy. I did actually jump. I was sure that things would go fine now. Hey, wait! Kid, what are you so happy about? Huh? All I said was that I'd help knock you. This doesn't really have anything to do with you, does it? There's nothing in this for you. So what are you so pumped about? Well, of course I'm happy. You're a good friend of mine. Sarah stared at me suspiciously. Oh, I get it. What? Sarah patted me on the back. Uh-huh. That's what's been going on. Sarah shot me a sly grin. I had a bad feeling about the whole thing. Don't go imagining anything stupid. I'm just... Dear Jove. Love, 'tis a beautiful thing. Fret not, dear kid, I shan't tell a soul. What the heck is Sarah talking about? Well, Yu is waiting, so we best get going. I started heading for the security office, pulling Sarah's hand. But it ended up being my arm that got yanked. Whoa! I lost my balance and stumbled forward, leaning on Sarah. Without missing a beat, she grabbed my left thumb and squeezed it tight. She grew close to me and whispered in my ear. Tell you the truth, I'm a bit jealous. I'm jealous, but... But since it's you that she's gone for, I'll let it go. As she spoke, she pushed me away and slapped me on the back. I was getting more and more confused. Alright, never mind. Screw this protagonist guy. I'm behind the Sarah Yu ship. Alright, shall we get started? Sarah sat in the chair, popped her knuckles, and faced the keyboard. Mayo, I'm really sorry. Don't worry about it. No big deal. You're in good hands with me. Hopefully you can help, Sarah. Trust me. Sarah started tapping away on the keyboard. A number of windows opened up on the screen. First, let's try stealing a password. Her typing was fast and rhythmical. Finally, a list of files came up. She opened one of the files. She opened a search window and started pouring through files. Let's see. Huh? It's not there. In this kind of OS, the file should be saved here, but... What are you looking for? The password hash values. What's that? It's an unchangeable string of letters or numbers created by a mathematical function when a user sets a password. What? If you can find the hash, then it's easy to get a password. No, it isn't. That's sort of the point of a hash. Right? Like, again, crypto security is not my forte or anything, but... like... I don't think that's how it works. For example, if you save a large number of the hashes and compare them with the hash values in the password file, then... Can you make it easier to understand? Alright, it's basically like the password's fingerprint. Well, you can't create a person from a fingerprint, you can identify one, right? It's the same as a fingerprint. The hash always reflects the characteristics of the original. And the modulation pattern is always derived from the character lineup of the original. I still don't get it. I think it's just beyond me. Sorry to bug you. I wiped away sweat and walked a short distance from Sarah. You watched Sarah as she leaned against a wall. I headed over to her. I wonder. It might be that there's a file that only the root authority can access. Even if I did find it, it could be randomly sequenced. That'd mean I need another message. Sarah mumbled to herself as she worked. Occasionally, Sarah would fiddle with her ribbon or tap her fingers on the desk, so it didn't seem like she was having much luck. I wonder if this'll work. Maybe. But no matter how good Sarah is, it isn't like a contest. Look, the contest Mayo won wasn't just any contest. The code she decrypted was a 68-bit strong one code. I'm not really sure how incredible that is. The strength of a code depends on how long the key to it is when the password is encrypted. The longer it is, the harder it is to decode. You still don't quite get it? Well, how about a specific example? So if a 1-bit password is encrypted, it can come out in one of two ways. For example, let's say that E is the letter. That can either be encrypted as a 0 or a 1 with the 1-bit key. So when this becomes a 2-bit key, possibilities are double the code, or 4. So for example, of E, it would be either 00, 01, 10, or 11. So with a 3-bit key, what do you think happens? Wait, it's about to give me a choice, and the choice is between 6 and 8. Let's see, there are 2 ways for a 1-bit, 4 ways for a 2-bit, so... Oh my god. Power's a 2, baby! Are there 8 ways? Bingo, you got it! So a 3-bit key for the letter E could be 000, 001, 010, 010, 011, 100, 101, 110, 111, a total of 8 combinations. So every time the code key increases by 1 bit, the number of code patterns increases exponentially. So for a 4-bit key, there would be 16 combinations, and for a 5-bit key, 32. So let's say this had a 68-bit key. A 68-bit would be 64, 6-bit would be 64, 7-bit would be 128, an 8-bit would be 256. Let's see. You're probably not going to get 2 to the 68 in your head, dude. The right answer is 2 to the 68 power. He was doing the calculation on the security office calculator. Actually, that might be too big for the calculator to output correctly. The number of code patterns would be possible is roughly 2.951479052 times 10 to the 20th power. Or 2 sextillion, 9,514 quadrillion, 7,905 trillion, 179 billion, 352 million, 825,856 different ways. It's like looking for a hair on the whole of the planet Earth, including the oceans. That's a code that Mayo decrypted. But you know what? What's so incredible is not that Mayo was able to do it, but the method she used to do it. The method? Yeah, there are 2 ways of finding a password. One involves difficult mathematical calculations. The other is a method that has to do with trying every key. It seemed like she couldn't find an algorithm to work for the first method, so a normal person would opt for the second option. And that's using all of the computers around the world participating in the contest. If you didn't, they say the calculations would take tens of thousands of years. But Mayo did it differently. She didn't... Yep, she sure did. What? Mayo put together her own algorithm and did it using difficult mathematical calculations. And just 7 days after the competition started, she had found the password. It was too incredible. It didn't seem real. See, now I was kind of hoping that she, did some social engineering nonsense. Where she, I don't know, finds the head of the contest and tricks him into giving her the code. That would have been funnier. But alas. She apparently needs cracking skills for the plot, so unfortunately we can't give her sweet social engineering workarounds. It was too incredible. It didn't seem real. I should have been surprised, but I wasn't. It was just too hard to imagine that the girl in front of me could do that. Sarah, what in the world are you? Ah, this isn't right! Sarah pounded her fist on the console. It's not working? Obviously not. Stop asking me about every little thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just a little irritated. Don't worry about it. I'm sorry for asking you to do this. Hey, why don't we take a break? I made some coffee. You had made coffee for the 3 of us. Here you go, Mayo. You handed Sarah her coffee. Oh, thank you so much. Sarah's coffee came with milk in the sugar bowl. Hey! Didn't you say that you weren't supposed to put anything in coffee? It's okay. Mayo's a special exception. Yep. That's right. Hey, that's not fair. Oh, stop complaining. Yeah, you and I are different is all. Leave it to you to change the rules. Not wanting to start an argument, I silently put milk and sugar in my coffee. After a bit, you asked Sarah, "So, how are you doing, Mayo?" So far, I've got nothing. Sarah turned her palms out, letting them face the ceiling. She meant she had zilch. Wow, this is tough. This is even tough for you, Mayo. This must be some security. To tell you the truth, the security here is way above normal. I don't think they are using just a normal firewall. They seem to have made some improvements on the daemons as well. Firewall? Dame what? Huh? A firewall is a way of protecting a network from unknown intruders. Daemons reside on the OS and the memory. They're responsible for all of the... okay. I get it. Thanks. That's it. I'm not asking any more questions. It's that tough, huh? Sarah nodded. Normally this kind of OS software is put together using C, so I tried to attack it using DOS, but it's been reinforced. I'm having trouble finding a hole in the security. The conversation, mostly Sarah talking, might have well been in some alien language. Well, when it gets that complicated, that's pretty much my limit. I'm getting more and more suspicious about this database. I wonder what Lieblich is trying to hide with all the security. Yeah, it's really strange. This isn't your average company security. I suddenly remember that on the first day, Sora had told me the reason why Lieblich built Limu here was a corporate secret. I wondered if it could be related to this. Hey, can you use the program that worked to win that decoding contest, Mayo? Oh, that's an idea. And if we could try to figure out the root authority password. So... My gut tells me that the person who made that algorithm would probably have considered using it at some point in the last half hour. So, me thinks that plan is a no-go. That's impossible. Why? I did a check on the code strength. Guess what it was? 128-bit? What? 136-bit. What? What? That means the number of possible patterns was 2 to the 136th power. It's a big number. Even if you had what it took to get the password, by the time you found... Sarah held out her fist and opened it up. Boom. She was right. Lima was going to go in 3 days. You was depressed. Isn't there anything else you could try? Well, there is one thing. There's one trick I haven't tried. What's that? A ray of hope returned in Yu's eyes. Everything I tried up until now has been cracking this using orthodox methods. There's no such thing as orthodox cracking, is there? Sarah ignored me and went on talking. What's left is what is a kind of cracking that doesn't really require technique. It's called social engineering. Ah! The issue is there's no one to socially engineer, though, right? Like, there's maybe Sora, but I think social engineering requires, like, interacting with people to trick someone into giving you proprietary information, right? And with the possible exception of Sora, there's no one here that we can trick. Like, Yu's mom isn't here. She's the one that we would need to give her the password. What's that? Simply put, it's using social behavior to get information. For example, Sarah stopped as if it were hard to say. For example, finding a person that works for the company operating the server you want to attack and tricking them into giving you a password. You get it by tricking someone? You're talking about tricking Sora? Sarah nodded. Yeah, I guess okay. That probably is plausible. I was, like, writing off socially engineering Sora. And I don't know why, because, like, in retrospect, that seems like a fairly viable plan. The issue is, like, she's listening to you right now, right? She has mics all over the compound, so it's difficult to trick her, especially given that she is expecting it. Sarah nodded. There's no way we could do it. Even if we could trick Sora. Of course, it's not something I want to do either. From Sora's perspective, she can't very well leak company information. And I won't try to force her, but that's how you get information illegally. But if you're set on getting that information no matter what, you don't have much choice. I just want you to know that. I couldn't think of anything to say. We were using a computer to do it, so it didn't seem real, but we were actually trying to deceive someone to get information. That was exactly what we were trying to do. A system's biggest bug is the people who use it. My mom used to say that a lot. And that way, maybe we're all bugs in Lemon's system. You stared straight at Sora. I agree with you, Mayo. But I just can't do it. I can't do anything to deceive Sora. Even if I lose the chance to find out what happened to my dad. Mayo, I'm sorry for asking for such a difficult favor, but I think I'd rather try something else for now. Sarah looked down, but then lifted her face, grinning broadly. Okay then, we'll do it your way. Sarah faced the keyboard again. Sarah, don't worry, no matter how stubborn the system is, it was made by people, and they can't be as stubborn as me. There's gotta be a weak point somewhere. Sarah began typing away. Just then, the room was bathed in a brilliant light. It covered our eyes. After a bit, our eyes got used to it. I squinted against the light. Did someone use like a flashbang or something? But there wasn't a bang. So why are the lights on super bright? And then there was... Sora? Uh-oh. Sora's pissed. Sora was floating in the air surrounded by a bright ring of light. She was looking down at us from above. She was wearing a white-looking cape that fanned out like a pair of wings. She looked like an angel descending from heaven. What is it, Sora? Showing up all of a sudden. Sora? Something wasn't right. There was some abnormal traffic on Lemma, so I came to see what was going on. What are you all doing? Sarah spoke politely, but her eyes were like ice. We should have expected her to see through us. But why did she seem completely different than the Sora we were used to? Please answer. Can't you tell by looking? We're trying to crack Lemma. Sarah answered coolly. Do you all know the meaning of what you're doing? Sora, please listen to what we have to say first. Yu's father was a member of the team that made Lemma. In other words, he's your father too, Sora. But he disappeared 17 years ago. At the same time, there was an accident, the cause of which was unclear here. Something about the whole thing is shady. Both the accident and the disappearance of Yu's father, we think that there's probably something behind the scenes that connecting them. Yu's trying to get the facts about her dad. She's looking for the truth. Please, Sora. We aren't asking for your help, but please, just look the other way. Sora. That's what this is about? Yu's father was... Sora? If it were something I can do, I would like to help you. If it were possible. Sora closed her eyes for a while, and then opened them. I understand your intentions. My duty is to protect Lemma from intruders, so I'm supposed to stop you. That is how I'm designed. I alone have no choice but to obey my orders. But that's not... Oh, but what should I... Sora's shoulders shook and she had a pained look on her face. Sora, it's fine. Huh? It's alright. I think it'll work out somehow. Work out somehow? Sarah, what are you trying to do? If Sora follows her current program, then she'll have to get in our way. But Sora doesn't want that. So I should just rewrite the program so that Sora can take the action that she wants to take. Can you do that? Probably not. Maybe. Of course. That is if you want me to. Sora's shoulders quivered slightly. Sora, are you scared? Yes, a little. I mean, this is effectively somebody fucking with your brain. Like, I would be concerned as well. No, I'm very scared. Let's not do this. I don't want my selfishness to cause any more problems for everyone. Be quiet, you. This is something to do with everyone, not just you. Okay, Sora, it's up to you. Sora? I'd like you to listen to me, and then decide after you hear what I've got to say. Sora, you said it yourself. That you're not like everyone else, but wished you were. You wanted to exist in the same way that we do. And we want the same thing. That is all I wanted to say. Finally, Sora lifted her face and focused her eyes on Sarah. Alright, I agree. Sarah, please do your best. As you wish. Mayo, you be careful. Please, don't hurt Sora. It'll be fine, trust me. Sarah typed on the keyboard. Alright then. Sorry, Sora, but I'm going to take a look inside you now. Don't worry. Think of it as an X-ray. Sarah continued working as we watched. As we watched her deft hands, Sora's tense expression began to relax. It was then that... Sora began to suffer. What's the matter? Oh, please stop. Stop, stop, stop! Sora? System scanning error. Unauthorized access to the autonomic nervous system confirmed. What happened? How am I supposed to know? Dang, that sucks. Looks like I got snagged in by the scan. What's that mean? That the surveillance program that is managing Sora discovered it was being cracked. Oh no. Everyone, please escape at once! If you stay, I may harm you. Huh? Escape? You can't escape, though! Like, she's a hologram, she can be anywhere! Now! Intruder route discovered. Oh, I'm not gonna make it! Sora held out her hand. I will now implement elimination of the intruder. Our surroundings suddenly changed. We were no longer in the security office. We were in the middle of a roiling ocean. The water swirled loudly. What is this? It appeared as if we were about to be sucked in and our bodies torn to pieces. I tried to shout, but water continued to rush into my lungs and I couldn't breathe. What is happening? Is this an RSD image? You shouted this. Everyone, close your eyes! When I closed my eyes, the surrounding apocalyptic scenery seemed like a lie. The ocean continued to ground in my ears. It was all the work of a generated hologram. So it was no longer scary. It is no use. Ah, please stop! The next instant, a high-frequency scream rang out in my mind. So this is when you take out the voice regulators, right? Like, if you take out the voice regulators, then Sora stops existing, right? Oh, wait. Is this going back to the line earlier where, like, Sora said that if there isn't an observer, she stops existing? So like, Sora's gonna disappear? I'm confused. That feels like a really weird sort of defect to put in your AI. Like, it just stops existing if no one's looking at it at that moment. My head hurt like it might split open. Ah! Unable to withstand it, I took out the voice converters that I thought were causing the pain, but the sound went on. That is why I said it was no use. Sound is also being emitted from the room's speakers. As long as you're in Limu, you can't escape. Please stop! Ah! The pain was so intense that we were rolling around on the floor. I'm warning you. Remove yourself from Lemme. Seize what you are doing immediately. No! Please, Sarah, that is enough. Please stop. I said no! I have to do this. For Sora, for Nakyu, and for myself. I won't lose to Lieblich. Sarah continued pecking at the keyboard. This is your final warning. Desist immediately. If you persist in your efforts, I cannot guarantee your safety. There has to be a hole someplace in the security. Sarah! What? I'm not giving up, no matter what. There is no... I will from now release one segment of my security. Please aim for it by sending in a massive load of data. You mean cause an overload? Yes, that should make my system out of control. I can't guarantee the outcome, but it might create a gap long enough for you to rewrite the system. Okay, please do it. With my power, I can only free it up for a short amount of time. Don't miss the chance. The chance will be 1/17 of a second. Got it. Okay, here I go. Beep. A Type 14 error has occurred. Now! Sorry, Sora. One segment of security. Sarah pushed the Enter key. Has discovered an impediment. Ah! Beep. A Type 7 error has occurred. Approaching numerical limit. I did it! The high-frequency attack stopped. Ah! Ah! Ow! Sora struggled in pain. Finally, her body began trembling. Sora? Sora, looks bad. Beep. A Type 9 error has occurred. Division by 0 will be initiated according to application formatting. Here goes the overload. Beep. What's happening to me? I am Sora Akinagasaki, a system engineer in Limu's development department, assistant in charge of operating Limu. Crackle. A part of the console sparked. I will be your guide today during your visit to Limu. I guarantee your safety and the safety of everyone on Limu. I am the protector of everyone in Limu. I am the defender of all in Limu. Snap. I am... Who am I? Don't lose yourself. You're Sora. You're Sora Akinagasaki and have been spending time with us. I have... with everyone... I'm not gonna lie, I'm having a little bit of trouble taking this seriously. A Type 34 error has occurred. Unanticipated orders are attempting to be implemented. Ah! Sora started suffering even more. And then something surprising happened. Sora split in two. Sora is two... I mean, she divided? It wasn't an illusion. I mean, everything is an illusion, right? Like, that's how Sora works. Of course, given that it was all RSD generated, there's no guarantee that it wasn't all an illusion. At least, I was not the only one that saw it. You and Sarah seemed to be seeing it too. The new Sora attacked, grabbing the old Sora by the throat. The two of them struggled equally. Two Soras. It was like an apple split into two pieces. No, it was like an apple reproduced in whole. Cell division. I figured that this was the result of overloading Lemme. Okay, I got the root authority. You did? Do it now. If you strike now, you can rewrite the system. A fatal system error has occurred. Data may be damaged. Immediately, initiate rebuilding. In 30 seconds, the emergency reset will initiate. Hurry! Lem is resetting the system to rebuild it. You must act before that. Hurry! Okay, just be patient, Sora. Sarah typed the keys at a furious speed. All we could do is stand helplessly and watch. 17 seconds to reset. Sarah, not yet? Just a little more. Sarah continued pounding in code as she wiped sweat from her brow. 7 seconds to reset. Sarah! I've got it! Sarah stood as if she were ejected from her chair. 3 seconds to reset. Okay, ninja technology technique? Time to turn the tables. Sarah struck the keyboard with her palm. The room was flooded with brilliant light. The two of Sora's images began to overlap. The two fused into one. At the same time, the system underwent an emergency reset. In that instant, we were all swallowed into pitch blackness. Darkness and silence. Colors and sound lost. Lemma temporarily ceased functioning. And then exactly 170 seconds later... Oh, I see. That's what the... They're, like, putting the number 17 in, like, various places. Because of the title. Okay. Lemma rebooted. Of course, I shouldn't immediately write off the possibility that the number 17 has significance to the plot beyond just being a random-ass number. Like, I can definitely think of one other visual novel where I thought they had picked a number at random, and then it turned out the number that was, like, really relevant. Obviously, I won't say the title because it's a major spoiler, but that is a plot point I have encountered before. The lights and other machinery restarted. The fan of the computer gave off a quiet whirring sound. The display on the wall came online all at once. There was a surge of letters rushing across the monitor, the system startup screen, and it finally switched to an automatic operating mode. Then Sora appeared again before us. She seemed to burst upon us floating in the air, but at the same time had a solid presence. She closed her eyes, and it looked as if she were embracing herself as she descended. Sora? Sora slowly opened her eyes. Good morning, everyone. Saying that, she smiled broadly. Do you know who we are? Do you remember us? I pointed at myself. Yes, kid. And you and Sarah as well. And Takechi and Tsugumi, although they of course are not present. Oh, I'm so glad you remember. Yes. Hey Sora, I would like to investigate Lemma's sea level data. Could you help me? Of course, I'll do my best. Sora nodded slightly as she spoke. Hey, there's something I'd like to know. Sarah, what in the world did you do to rewrite the system? Well, actually I didn't change anything. I just added a patch that changes the priority duties. That is correct, my processing routine has not been altered. However, now my duty to serve you is higher priority than my duty to protect Lemma. I really don't understand, but... You mean that you no longer have to stop us? That's right. And if it would be of use to you, then I will show you the internal workings of Lemma. Yeah then, shall we jump right into the search? By all means. Hey, you, what's wrong? Yu was hunched over and quiet. She didn't look well. Thank you, Sora, and Mayo. You've done so much for me. And then Sarah said, That doesn't seem like you, Nakyu. You can't choose what you have to do to get what you want. Just keep being yourself. Sarah waved her words away casually with the palm of her hand. I agreed with her completely. She's right. Don't lose sight of yourself. I agree. Okay. And thank you too, kid. Huh? Me? I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? You're the one that persuaded Sarah to help, right? And my decision was based on your words of wisdom. You told me that you all hope for the same thing. That was your advice that helped me to make up my mind. I see. So that's what happened. I felt a bit embarrassed. Alright, now enough warm fuzzies. Let's start investigating. Alright. And so we restarted the investigation into Yu's father. The only clue that we had to start off our investigation was the name of Yu's father, Yoichi Tanaka. Actually, the work going on beneath the surface of Lemma's exterior was all done by Sora. It looked like the system still couldn't be accessed by normal means. Sarah was worn out, but she kept on typing. Nearly half an hour had passed since Sora had disappeared inside Lemma. Sora suddenly appeared from inside the console. Are you finished? I can only tell you what I was able to learn, but... Good work. So, what'd you find out? It didn't work? No, I've uncovered various facts. In that case, hurry up and tell us. Sora? Sora stared straight at you. Her serious expression made Yu wrinkle her brow. It didn't look like the kind of situation suitable for light talk or jokes. I wondered what Sora could have found. Yu, I want you to stay calm and listen. There is a possibility that your father, Yoichi Tanaka, has already died. Yeah, no kidding. Huh? My father... dead? Oh! Yeah, I'd just been paying attention to the number 170 seconds there, but yeah, the 17 years since the previous accident is also 17. I hadn't made that connection until just now. I'm not very smart, you see. I have a small potato brain. Yes, 34 years ago. Wait, 34? 34 is 2 times 17, which I find deeply suspicious. Wait, has it been like 17 years? What? This is the third accident? What? I'm so confused. So, if there's time travel... Okay, so Tsugumi doesn't seem to know enough to reconcile the entire situation, right? So, that implies to me that if there is time looping going on, this is a very early loop. And so if there's 34 years since the original accident has passed, then that implies that this is a second loop, right? Because if 17 years pass between the time Yu's dad dies and when they're all screwing around at the theme park, and then 17 years passes behind Limu collapsing. No, but that doesn't make sense if Limu collapsed 17 years ago, right? Not collapsed, but like got flooded, because it would only take like 5 days for the entire facility to collapse. So you can't just like wipe out 17 years of memory unless you like drag them out of the facility and put them in a similar facility? Huh. How do you reconcile 34 here? 34 years ago? Hold on. What do you mean 34 years ago? I'm only 18 years old. I was born 18 years ago. How could anything as ridiculous as my father dying 34 years ago? Yeah, what you're saying, Sora, just doesn't match the facts. Please stay calm and listen. I've not reached a final conclusion. I'm merely saying that there is the possibility. First, I tried to search for information on Yu's father. However, there were no files pertaining to Yoichi Tanaka recorded in Limu's database. In other words, there are no records that anyone by that name existed. So you're saying that Yu's father wasn't here? It can't be. But that's only based on limited information from the area of files you can access, right, Sora? You said there were areas you couldn't breach, right? Of course, that is correct. I'm merely an interface program for Lemon. I'm not permitted to access high-security data. So records about Yoichi Tanaka might be there. Sora continued, responding to Sarah's question. That is a possibility that I can't deny. However, there's no such name on company name lists, accounting records, or any of the message logs exchanged on the local area network. As far as these are concerned, no record of Yoichi Tanaka exists. That can't be! I'm sure that my dad worked here at Limu, so they're not at Limu. That's, I guess, the theory I'm going with currently. Right? Man, I don't know. 34? I'm so confused! And besides, even if he wasn't here, that doesn't mean that he's dead, right? Correct. Bang. No, it's not correct! Tell me why you reached that theory! Naku, please calm down. Sarah grabbed Yu as she went to grab Sora. Yu is on the verge of losing reason, and getting carried away by her emotions. I will explain my research and reasoning. But first, may I ask you a question? This may sound rude, but where did you hear that your father was an employee at Limu? That your father disappeared when you were a 1-year-old. If that is a fact, then you should have no memories of your father. Am I wrong? No, you're right. I don't remember anything about my father. I don't remember playing together or him holding me. But I'm sure that he was around until I was 1. There are pictures and films of that time. I'm sure he was there. I'm sure that my mom said so as well. So that was the case. Huh? It is about your mother. What? So her mom was, like, lying to her? That still doesn't explain the time discrepancy. What is it? Why won't you say anything? It's because... what? It's difficult to say. It might be difficult, but you've already told me many difficult things. So tell me, what happened with my mom? You're sure? Yes. Then I will tell you. Your mother, Yukie Tanaka, passed away 15 years ago. Okay, so we... Looks like we have been underwater for 17 years. Don't know how to reconcile that. Maybe maybe the place isn't gonna flood? But then how do they, like, restock food and stuff? Like, assuming that they're fucking with our memories, and not, like, literal time travel nonsense. Because the theory that sort of makes the most, or, like, fits the cracks, like, makes the 17-year gap make the most sense, is that we've been down here for 17 years, and then every week or so, or whatever, we get our memories reset. Right? Like, that sort of makes most things make sense. And then the only thing you need to reconcile are, A, how are they restocking the food? And B, how are they making sure the facility doesn't explode, or implode, rather? So, that would imply that we've been fed false information about the fact that the pressure in the facility is messed up, which presumably we could check with by taking off the voice regulators. Actually, that would be interesting to do, because I don't know if there's... I mean, there's a soda, but other than the soda, like, exploding, there hasn't been any super strong evidence that we're actually down to 1 atmosphere, right? Like, I might be misremembering something, but, like, nobody's taken off their voice regulators, so we haven't heard people talk in high-pitched voices. Like, nobody was experiencing decompression sickness. We just, like, got stuck in the pressurization chamber on the word of Sora, who, if my theory is correct, has been fed false information, or, like, is not working with a correct understanding of the situation. And in fact, Sora would be the one that's easiest to mess with her memories, or memories, quote-unquote, because she's like an AI, right? Like, you can just manually set it to, like, dump memory every week or whatever. That doesn't explain why the protagonist has such accurate information of what's going to happen, though, right? Like, even if events were, like, soft repeating every week, that doesn't explain how he, like, knew that the door to the generator room was going to be hot, unless the exact same events are happening, right? And it doesn't explain how Tsugumi retains her memories, either. Like, does their process not work on Tsugumi? Does she, like, dodge it somehow? It also doesn't explain what Coco's doing. Like, she just is, like, around. Also doesn't explain why the characters don't look any older. Because we did, like, see sprites of them initially, right? And, like, in the scenes before the facility collapses. Or not collapses, but it's, full of water. And it's the same sprite, right? And presumably Takeshi looks meaningfully different if he's 35 now. So I don't love that theory very much, but I don't have a better one. No! What are you saying? Sora, how can you tell me that? That's just not possible. That is all I can tell you. I will display the detailed documents on the screen. Please refer to them. You stumbled toward the display, sitting down in front of it. Sarah and I read the display from over her shoulder. On the screen was a record from the company LAN. It was a notice of death. There was a file about the office procedures related to Yukie Tanaka's death. There was a message log of messages exchanged among employees about the notice of her death, and a funeral notice. The screen kept changing from one image to the next. The next thing that was uploaded to the server read, 2719. This was on July 19, 2002, 15 years ago. Was it? 2719. What? Oh, right. This is, year, month, day, right? Japanese style. Japanese does a descending order. So this was on July 19th, 2002, 15 years ago. At the end of the files, the following appeared. It was a record of an online conversation between employee Mr. A in the Personnel section of General Affairs Division and Mrs. B in the second section of the Research Division. But it really was a shock. What was? I mean about Yukie Tanaka. Oh, yeah. Yukie was always so nice to me. That's right, she was your boss, right? Do you know the cause of death? TB. TB? Tuberculosis? Tiefblau. That again. It's the same as how her husband died. Her husband? What? Oh, you mean you didn't know? Is that so? But we really shouldn't talk about this at the company. Why? I'll tell you about it later. But Yoichi died 19 years ago, right? That's why we can't talk about it. I'm serious. And she had a child. Poor thing. She had a daughter, right? I feel so sorry for her. I checked to see when the log had been saved. The date read 2719. That can't be. I won't believe it. I absolutely can't believe it. As she shouted this, Yu fled from the security office. So do we just have, like, the dates wrong? Because if her mom died 15 years ago, like, biologically we don't have a problem. We do have a problem, though, right? Like, unless the dad saved sperm somewhere, then, like, there's no way to fertilize after being dead for 19 years. Huh. Immaculate Conception, maybe? I don't know, but I'm gonna have to close this video here so we can, ponder these mysteries together over the weekend, and have a lovely weekend. Catch y'all later.